Hey, Archie, we've got an expert with us today, Ben Bulgrien, on Medicare. I think this is going to be a great episode.
I've got plenty of questions for him. I'm Archie Hoxton.
And I'm Rob Hoxton.
And this is Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. Welcome back to the Last Paycheck Podcast, brought to you by Hoxton Planning and Management. We're your hosts, CFP professionals, Archie Hoxton and Rob Hoxton. And today we have a really awesome special topic for you. It's probably going to take a couple episodes to kind of tease it out. And it's Medicare. And for this topic, we've brought a special guest, Ben Bulgrien, from our friends over at Kohron Financial. And he's going to help us go into the ins and outs of Medicare and hopefully give some information that helps you make really good decisions with this huge topic that we're all gonna face at some point.
Some of us sooner than others. And it is definitely the season. This is when the ads start. This is where people are just being deluged with opportunities to change their various insurance coverages. So this is going to be fantastic. We're so glad to have Ben with us today.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So thanks again for being here with us, Ben. This is really helpful.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Archie and Rob. I'm happy to have this discussion.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think maybe the place to start is, because we did a couple episodes a while back on sort of general Medicare. I think it might help to start with some of the most common questions that people ask. They ask us, like they ask you. And so maybe the place to start is just really simple. Just how do I sign up for Medicare?
Yeah, and when do I have to do it?
Yeah.
Both great questions. Definitely the ones that I get asked the most frequently. So for signing up for Medicare, there are three main ways. You can go into your local Social Security office. You could call the National Social Security number, or you could go to ssa.gov and sign up there. Our recommendation is to go to ssa.gov and use the online application. I've had many stories of people that have went into their local Social Security branch, waited for some time, got called up, and then were told, okay, now we're scheduling you to come back in a few weeks to wait even longer. So ssa.gov, avoid some of that. It's not going to be the perfect solution for everybody. You may run into some technical issues, questions that you don't have answers to. Then that's where we'd say, well, you can go into these other two, but our recommendation is to start with ssa.gov and get as far as you can.
Yeah. And what about time frame? I mean, as far as there's pretty strict rules about signing up for Medicare. Talk to that a little bit.
Absolutely. And the one thing that people will come in, they'll talk to me, they'll say, hey, somebody told me I need to sign up for Medicare or else I will get penalized.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll even talk about avoiding penalties in a little bit, but the general time frame for somebody to sign up for Medicare is when they're approaching their 65th birth month. They'll be in their initial enrollment period, which is a 7-month window. 3 months before their 65th birth month, their 65th birth month, and 3 months after their 65th birth month. Anytime within that period, they're able to go through one of those avenues that I mentioned to sign up for Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. And then accompanying parts that go along with it that will typically be done with a Medicare agent.
Okay. And so another question that I think I've gotten this one a handful of times, and it has to do with when you're in that window. And I mean, we have clients who reach that age and they're still working, and they're thinking, okay, do I have to sign up for Medicare? Should I be comparing my current plan with Medicare options? You know, what do I do if I'm in that scenario? And maybe I foresee, sticking with my job for another 5 years.
Yeah. So the two really important things with that, and that's going to come back to these penalties, is whether or not you have a qualifying health plan, mm-hmm. and whether your prescription drug coverage is creditable. Now, I say that in two distinct things. Typically, an employer will say, well, your plan is creditable And that usually means that, yep, you're fine. You can avoid those penalties down the line if your employer has 20 or more full-time equivalent employees. That's considered a qualifying health plan. And somebody could delay signing up for Medicare Part B beyond their 65th birth month and avoid penalties as long as they're covered by a qualifying health plan. The creditable drug coverage is those two typically go in line, but I always like to double check, say, hey, let's verify this with your benefits administrator. That just means that your prescription drug plan through your employer pays as much as your Medicare coverage would have if you were to sign up at that point. So you can avoid those penalties down the line as well, assuming that those two items are true. And then when you would come off of your employer coverage in 5 years, 10 years, or however long you're continuing to work, then you would get a special enrollment period, which would allow you to sign up for Medicare Part A and Part B, sign up for any supplemental or advantage plans. Again, no penalties as long as we have something that proves that you had that qualifying health plan when you sign up for Medicare originally.
Okay. Are there qualifying health plans that aren't, like tied to an employer? Like if I have healthcare out in the marketplace, maybe I really like it. Is it kind of like, hey, I really need to get onto Medicare or I'm going to be subject to penalties? What do you say to someone who's in that situation?
So in those situations, what the big thing with those, if you're getting your health insurance to the marketplace, you may qualify for something called an advanced premium tax credit. And that's going to be based on your income for this year, and it's going to help determine whether or not you can afford to pay for that insurance. And if they say, well, based on your income and your household size, in order to make this plan affordable, you qualify for a certain amount of tax dollars that are paid to you on a monthly basis in advance to help make it more affordable. If you are on, or if you're able to be on Medicare, if you're over 65 and you try to stay in one of those plans, you would not qualify for any of those tax credits. So those plans may all of a sudden become, and in most cases would become, much more expensive than if you were to go to switch to Medicare at that point. The other part is, you would be open to those penalties down the line if you were to delay beyond the certain windows. For Part B, it's if you haven't had a qualifying health plan for 12 months. And for Part D, it's if you haven't had a creditable drug plan for 63 days. So our recommendation for somebody that's on the marketplace is, we want to get you signed up for Medicare as soon as possible to avoid those sticky situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, this is such a huge decision that affects you, for the rest of your life. And it could be 30 years, 35 years. It depends on...
if you have a penalty for not signing up?
Yeah.
Tell us how that penalty is calculated.
So the Part B penalty is if you haven't had a qualifying medical plan or Medicare Part B for a 12-month period, you're assessed a 10% penalty every year. And that will never go away. So you're stuck with...
So if your premium is $500, it's an additional $50.
Yep.
Wow.
And then if you delay it another year, that's another 10% tacked on top of that. And then another one is tacked on. Now, you could play the game and just never sign up for it, and then you won't get any penalties. But we don't usually think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
you get the penalty when you have a really big operation, and then you've got to cover it all yourself. Yeah.
Apparently, there are a few thousand people in the country every year that essentially opt out of Medicare, right? So
yeah. So we won't tell people to do that, but there are certain people. Yeah. And then for Part D, the prescription drug plan penalty is if you don't have a creditable plan for 63 days, then you'll be assessed a 1% penalty every month that you don't have it. Now, those numbers are much smaller than the Part B premiums, but it's still 1%, 12% over the course of a year. That will never go away.
Yeah.
So the long and short of it would be, make sure you've either got the qualified health or get on Medicare and avoid this. So you've got coverage that, is, that's a way to, at least kind of stay in control of your costs, is just be ready and prepared. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about Aunt Irma? That our beloved Aunt Irma, who we really hate to see at family reunions because she's so expensive.
Yes. Yeah, so in IRMA, or your income-related monthly adjustment amount, is something that will factor into what you would pay for Medicare Part B and also Medicare Part D. And
So
it's going to be
sort of a sliding scale, right?
sliding scale. There's going to be ranges of what you would pay based on what your income is. And to make it easy on us, they make it based on income that you had 2 years ago. So what you earned in 2022 will determine what you pay in 2024, and 23 will determine 25, and this year will determine what you pay in 2026. Yep. And so it's an unpleasant surprise. It's much better to go into it with your eyes wide open. You know that you might need to pay it 2 years from now, than to all of a sudden be hit with I didn't realize that I would be paying so much more for the exact same coverage because I wasn't paying attention to what my income was, or I had some things that I could have done in the past to help mitigate.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that people will do to kind of anticipate that we talk to clients about. I mean, some things are managing your RMD ahead of time and trying to find ways to get a little bit of control over what your required distribution is going to be. But what about this? I mean, this is one that, when you think about it, it's a sliding scale. But let's say year one, I'm retired, but 2 years ago I was working and my income is really high. So initially my premiums are going to be, higher, subject to IRMA. What can you do about that? What if you're looking at this, how do you deal with that?
So one of the edge cases that we have occasionally is somebody was retiring 2 years ago and they got a really nice bonus, and that took them above whatever the threshold is for the range of incomes that you could have. There is an appeal process that you could go through that we have seen the exact same situation. Somebody says, "Hey, will you reconsider this?" And they say, "Yeah, that's fine. You'll pay the lower amount." Another person says, "Hey, will you reconsider this?" And they say, "No." So we don't want to bank on that.
Yeah.
But there are some options available for navigating some unexpected changes in income from the year that is determined.
So it's worth asking.
Worth asking. Yep. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder, say you get a scenario, and this may kind of fall outside of the bounds of what they're willing to, appeal. But, you're newly retired. You're not, a financial expert. A big expense comes up. You take a big IRA withdrawal. Come to find out 2 years later, your Medicare premium is going to be a lot higher. Do you ever see that kind of thing get appealed, or is that sort of like, sorry, you're out of luck, wait until next year and your premium will be, moved forward a year on the sliding scale?
For that, I would just say, just like Rob said, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. Let's apply. We'll see. If it's favorable, that's great. If it's not, well, we tried. We tried everything that we could to try to get that back to where in most cases, it would have been at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's tricky. I mean, that's one of those things where I'd say, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to ask, but maybe you kind of see that one not getting forgiven as easily. We're coming up on time here. So did you have one more?
Yeah, I was just kind of curious if you could just touch on, can I put my HSA savings that, we talk on the show a lot about having a health savings account and investing those funds. What can I do with those funds? Can I use any of that for anything we're talking about here today?
Yeah, we love the HSAs as well. They offer a lot of flexibility. It's almost easier to say what they can't be used for, and that is if you were to be on a Medicare supplement plan, which I know we're gonna have another episode about talking through the comparison between all these different plans. You cannot pay for your premiums, your Medicare supplement premiums with your HSA. Your Part B premiums you can pay, any vision or dental costs you can pay, costs associated with copays or co-insurances, anything like that, depending on the setup you go with. So there's a lot of flexibility with what you can use those HSA dollars for.
That's great. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's one of the greatest retirement tools available to us. So, when it comes to Medicare, knowing how you can use it is valuable. Hey, I think that probably covers everything that, as far as time allows today.
Can we get you back for the next episode, Ben?
Oh, happily.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll talk to you soon. If you like this episode, please leave us a comment with questions or episode ideas. You can reach us at our number here on the screen, or shoot us an email. Remember to like, subscribe, share with family and friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. You've been watching Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. If you like this show, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Last Paycheck is available anywhere you get your podcasts.